Welcome to Fusion 360 Lesson 6. Today we are going to be covering surface, component, assemble, and joint concepts. So let's start with surface. So we've talked about lofting using sketches, and two enclosed spaces can create a 3D form. But today we are going to start with creating a sketch, and we're going to work from the front, and I'm going to create a pair of lines. So yes, we're going to be using that plane, and I'm going to make a line. And that's good there. Let's close that. All right. And then we are going to create another line on another plane. So I am going to create an offset plane. We're still going to be working from the front, but now what we're going to do is we are going to work, let's just say 10 inches. Oh, no, 3 inches is good. We'll work 3 inches from there. All right, so now we're working on another plane, and I can create another line on that plane, and we'll go from here to here for just a straight line. And so now what I have is two lines at different depths. So I'm going to finish the sketch. And so now we've been working in the solid form here. I'm going to go to the surface form, and we are going to create a loft. Just like using closed forms, but we are going to select, let's just double check this, that's sketch 1, that's sketch 2. We're going to select all of sketch 1 for profiles. Oh, chain selection helps here. So that'll select the whole thing. And then we're going to add another one, and it's going to be this one here. Okay? And the operation we're going to create is a new body. So now what we have is a plane that starts with the curve that we had on one plane and a line from the other. Makes a smooth transition. This will be useful in the pumpkin assignment. So what you can use this for, aside from if this is what you wanted to design to begin with, this can be used to split bodies in half. So we are going to create a new sketch. I'm going to work from the top now. I'm going to make a circle right about here. Oh wait, no, it has to be smaller than that. Sorry. Well, actually, let's roll with that. I'm going to finish sketch. I'm going to look at this from here. So that's fine. Notice it went to the surface that I had clicked on. Got to be careful with that if that's not what you wanted to do. We are going to extrude. I am going to extrude from both sides symmetrically, and we're going to make a cylinder. Okay. So now we have a cylinder that's a body, and we have also our plane. Well, we have our surface is what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify, and we are going to split body, and I'm going to cut this cylinder using So I've selected the body to split is the first one. Now I'm going to go to splitting tools, and for the splitting tool, I'm going to use my my surface. I'm going to extend splitting tools, so that's going to bring that out all the way as far as it needs to go. If I don't do that, it doesn't cut all the way through, so I'm going to extend, and now it should cover all of this. I'm going to hit OK, and now I have my surface, and I've got two separate bodies here. If I go back from the front, you can see, I'm going to turn this off, you can see that this body is separate from that body. And the cut happens at the surface and that shape. So if you want something other than just a simple plane cut, that's how you would accomplish it. And that is lofting lines to create surfaces and using a surface to split a body. Okay. I should be able to now move that, and then you can get an idea of what's happening. So we are going to move, bring that up, so it's just one piece now. All right. Okay, so the exercise for this, follow along with what I did here, and then make 2 more using a cube and an irregular loft shape that's then sliced in a way. Divide them like this, and that's what we'll be looking at for your homework or in-class assignment, as the case may be. Okay, now we're going to talk about components, assemblies, and joints, or assemble, I should say. So I'm going to start from the front. I'm going to make a sketch. I'm going to sketch from the front plane. We're going to make a circle. Circle's going to be 5. We're going to make another circle, which is 1. Going to make another circle, which is 1. And then we're going to create a pattern using that circle. Go over here, select the center point, tell it how many we want. I'm going to go to 6. And now we have a wheel shape. I'm going to finish the sketch. And I am going to now extrude the center point. I'm going to extrude it from symmetric both sides for a total distance of 7. And then we're going to turn that sketch back on. All right, so now we have a body here. And I'm going to extrude this one. And we're going to make that a new body. And we're going to extrude it 1. Now we have a wheel and a shaft. We don't want to join these. We want it to be a new body. You'll see why in a second. So now I should have 2 bodies. And one of them is going to be, we're going to create components from bodies. So now instead of having body 1 here, we have component 1. I'm going to make a component from this. Now we've got component 2. Okay. What this allows us to do is that it allows us to assemble them. And so we already have our components, and they're actually already in the positions that we want. So I'm going to say as built joint. And so I'm going to select this component, and I'm going to select this component. So now we have 2 components selected. And now I'm going to say that I want a revolute joint. It's asking for a snap. Where do I want that center point to be? So I'm going to say the very middle. And note that it animates it. that's all fine and great, except what's happening is that it's spinning the center point, which is tough to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to go to component 1. This is the shaft. Right-click, and we're going to ground this one. That's going to make it fixed. And now we're going, this one's active, this component's activated, so I should be able to just click and drag and spin it. That's revolute. It will spin along that axis. What if I wanted it to slide up and down? We could use, I'm going to go down here into our browser menu. I'm going to right-click this, and we are going to edit the joint. And instead of revolute, I am going to choose a sliding joint. And so now it slides that way. It gives a little animation to tell you how it's going so you can confirm it. Note that we have it set to slide to z-axis. It is possible to set it to the y-axis and it'll slide the other way. Not particularly appropriate for this, but just keep in mind that's possible if it's going the wrong direction. That's how you change it. And you've got lots of different decision options here. Cylindrical allows you to not only spin it, but to slide it as well. So now I can pivot. Oops. Let's see, I'm going to have to, that one's pinned. Make sure this one's active. So I can spin it and I can slide it. All right. So that is a basic joint. I would like to have everyone make a hinged box. Now, a hinge has, you have the mounting faces on either side. These are referred to as knuckles. I'm not going to test you on this, but just these are the words I'm going to use. And then the middle part has the hinge pin. And if you haven't really looked at hinges, I'm going to get a hinge that I can take apart. You have a series of tubes that are offset from one another. And by having these tubes offset, by having these tubes offset, if you put a pin down the center, the pin can turn in each of them, which means that each of these can turn, but they're rigid in any other direction. And so we are going to create that right now. Create a sketch. We are going to work from the front. We are going to create a circle. This will be our hinge pin. Hinge pin of 1. Another circle. Hinge knuckle of 2. And then we want a box lid. So it's a rectangle. I'm going to just come out a ways here, and we're going to make this 2x4. And then we're going to make another one from here. I said a rectangle. And that's going to be 4x4. Okay. Notice I didn't combine these yet. We're going to move that in a bit so that we save ourselves some grief later. So I'm going to finish sketch. We are going to extrude out all of these pieces. So we want this one. We could do double-sided. Yeah, let's keep it centered. Symmetric, 4 inches. Oh, sorry, 2 inches. Because that's 2 inches each direction. There we go. New body, that's important. Turn our sketch back on. We're going to extrude this one 2 inches both ways. New body, watch out for that. And then we pause. So now we move to the hinge pin. So we're going to extrude that symmetric, distance of 2 inches, and new body. So we have, yes, so we have that. And this part's going to be a little trickier. We are going to extrude these separately, and it is for all the world going to want to combine them. But we want to be sure that they're separate. New body. Okay. Extrude in the face. 1 inch. New body. Swing over here. Enter. Extrude. Notice it's pointing the wrong way, so I'm just going to go -1. I could reverse it or whatever, but it's faster just to do that. New body. And last is this one. New body. Let me show you what happens if I don't say new body. If I say, well, in this particular case, it's not going to be horrible, but if we go to bodies here, there's a whole bunch of bodies here. If I say join accidentally and I hit OK, it's actually going to reduce the number of bodies I have because it's going to combine everything that's touching. If that happens to you, you don't have to totally undo the whole thing. We have all of these extrudes here, every one that we've done. We can right-click it, it's even highlighting which one it is. I'm going to right-click, I'm going to edit feature, and all I have to do is go, that's it right there. We want a new body instead. So I'm going to hit OK. And now we have all of the bodies that we were supposed to have. All right. So this isn't much of a box if you can't put anything in it, although that starts to get into, some Dadaist art right there. If you want to be postmodern about it, you can make a box that has no interior, but no, make a box with an interior because we're going to learn a new tool here. We're going to go to Modify and Shell. Okay? And what this does is that it hollows things out. And it's going to hollow things out from the face that you select. So I'm going to select this face. I'm going to say I want an inside thickness of 1/4 inch, 0.25. The direction is inside. You could make your object thicker by doing this. It's not what we're really looking to do right now. So we're just going to say inside, hit OK. And now I have a box. This is a fine opportunity for me to show you the Inspect tool and section analysis. If you want to see a cross-section of your work, this is a fine way to do it. Inspect, section analysis, and then you can select where you want to view your cross-section. This is very useful. I'm going to hit OK. And now you can work without the front being in your way. And if you want it back, notice that we now have an analysis tab up here. If we had lots of different ones, we could have them selected here, or you can just turn the visibility off and then we're back to normal. I'm going to turn off the bottom, turn back on the top, or vice versa. I'm going to do the shell again. We are going to select this face. We're going to say a thickness of 1/4 inch. And we now have a box that's hollow. All right, so turn the cross section back on under analysis, and you can see that the full box is hollow. Turn that off. I am going to now nudge the hinge to intersect with that. So I'm going to left click up and to the left, and then I'm going to right click, and we're going to move just until why isn't it letting us do it? I must have, okay, cancel that. I'm going to go to Sketch, Edit Sketch. I made a coincident So that should fix it there. These should still be concentric though. Oh, they might not be. I'm going to make those not tangent, concentric. I'm going to make these concentric. So they'll move together. And now I can do this in the sketch too. I'm going to select both of these. Oh, because I'm still in the concentric mode. Select both of these. There we go. And we're going to move. And we're going to slide this. Cancel. Oh, one more coincident. All right, now can I move you? There we go. All right, so I'm going to move this over so we get some overlap. I'm going to put this somewhere in the middle. I don't want the edge of my box into the hinge pin, but I do want it to overlap so that we get some decent contact here, so that there's some, so that we have an attachment point. So I'm going to say OK. And now when we hit Finish Sketch, it should give us all of our hinge pins overlapping. But to make a physical object, we can't have them actually overlap. So as with a real hinge, you want half of your knuckles connected to one side and the other half connected to the other side. So I am going to, oh, but before we attach them, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a relief. So we're going to Operation Cut, and the target body is the bottom. And from the bottom, the tool bodies, we are going to cut the profile of the right knuckles. We want to keep our tools. We're not throwing those away in this operation. So I'm going to hit OK. And so now what we have is, instead of overlapping here, we have it cut away. And then we're going to repeat that with the top. We're going to combine. We're going to cut. So we want the top to be the target body, which was already selected. And then the tool bodies are going to be the knuckles on the left. Keeping the tools. All right. So now we can combine them. And we're going to reverse this process because we cut away a relief here. So where it's overlapping, we're going to join. We're not going to keep the tools because we want a new component. Not component, but we want this all to be one body when we're done. We've done this before. So I'm going to select the top, and I'm going to select the two knuckles on the right, that one and that one. I'm going to change my angle here so I can make sure I'm doing it correctly. Yep, that's it. I hit OK, and these three should become one body now if I did it correctly. And so now we have body number one is all of that. We're going to repeat that, combine. We're going to take the bottom, and we're going to combine it with that knuckle and that knuckle. And we're not going to keep tools. I'm going to say OK. So now what we should have is two halves with our knuckles. And notice those little cutaways. Those are important. So where this is right here is going to allow this space to be and allow it to pivot. I'm going to cancel that. So we now have the structure of our box. How do we get it to open and close? Well, we need to separate these so they're not bodies anymore. Well, they'll still be bodies, but they're going to be components. We're going to create components from bodies. So the lid is a component, and we can name that. Don't have to, but maybe it's easier to keep track of. You've got a lot of components. It's probably a really good idea. we're going to create one here, and that is the hinge pin. So we'll just call that pin. And then this is the bottom. Okay. So now that they're components, we can assemble our components. They're already where we want them to be. So it's got an as-built joint. If we had made these separated and you want to bring them together, you could either do joint, but we're going to do an as-built, and we are going to select the lid. We are going to select the hinge pin, and a revolute is the appropriate joint. We're going to repeat that. As-built joint, we want the bottom, and we want the hinge pin. And it wants me to know the snap, so we're going to select the center point here. And it's pivoting the direction that we want. So I'm going to hit OK. And now we have a box. If I want, I can ground the bottom and make sure that the top is activated. And so now, if I don't have anything selected, I can open and close the box. Now, notice it lets me go through here. I'm going to save this right now because what we're going to do next has a tendency to be taxing on the computer. Hopefully this is a simple enough thing, but if you go to enable all contact, this will detect collisions between parts. And now I can open and close, and it will be realistic. Granted, the hinge pin is where it's, it's moving around the hinge pin. You could lock that down, but this is, that's what happens when you get all of your collisions. Okay, so that is the box. Make sure you get this box put together, and then we're going to move on to doing this with our pumpkins. Thank you very much.